What's going on, guys? North Georgia Fisherman here. Finally got the time and enough trips in on the water to do a full review and rigging setup of the native watercraft Slayer Max Propel 12.5 brand new kayak that I got a few weeks ago with some different options. Everyone knows I used to run the Vibe Shearwater and eventually had to switch up. So in this video, I want to talk about why I did that and my motive behind this big change and what was going on. So let's get right into it. This is the Native Slayer Propel Max 12.5 review and rigging setup. So starting off right off the bat, let's talk about why I switched over. Now, the main reason for the switch was this new screen right here. This is the Lowrance FS1 Elite 9-inch screen, and I do have it with the obviously 3-in-1 transducer set up on the bottom from Lowrance, and then we've got active targeting on this other side. So 2 transducers, and I'm gonna go over that and how I deploy that, how I use those two things together. Now with the Vibe Shearwater, the issue with the Vibe, it is a good boat to start with, good kayak to get into with a pedal drive. A couple of things it did not have for me. Number one, the biggest thing is that the Vibe Shearwater ran out of space. I just was not comfortable with the kayak and this 9-inch screen. If you look at my previous videos, you'll see that I'm running a 7-inch Garmin in the middle of the kayak in that front hatch, and it worked out really well, but it was very unstable. So adding the 9-inch screen was gonna create a lot of instability, whether it was in the middle, on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, and I was always running pretty tight on that kayak. Number 2 was space. Overall space was a very difficult thing for me as well. This is the Black Pack by Yak Attack. It's not the Pro. This is the one that, you know, came out before the Pro, and also had a hard time fitting that on the Vibe Shearwater, and that was super difficult. And then up here on the front also, like I said, running out of space with the screen, net placement with my measuring board, and with the pedal drive. So that was just a really big challenge for me. And then the third reason why is on the Vibe Shearwater. I guess this kind of branches off the space issue. I did not have the ability of adding the pedal drive without, you know, taking up, again, a lot of space. So what would happen is, I do run a motor up here in the front, and I'll talk about that in a second. But when I went out with the motor, if I ever, for whatever reason, had any issues with the motor, I didn't have the pedal drive with me, so I'd have to pedal back with my paddles. I could have been a couple miles out, and I'd have to pedal back with the motor, with the battery, with everything else rigged up, and that was a huge issue. So this year, 2022, started doing a lot more tournaments, a lot more exploring other lakes, and you know, I just felt like functionality was getting to that point where it just wasn't enjoyable for me. And then finally, the final straw for me with the Vibe Shearwater was stability, guys. If you're on big lakes, if you're on reservoirs and rivers, whatever it may be, as a kayak angler, you need stability. And that was also one of the biggest things. So all those small issues kind of, you know, merged into one big problem for me, and that was the ability to fish the way that I want to. And a lot of you guys know, when you're fishing every day, you're passionate about it and you care about it, it's difficult when you don't have the right vessel. So again, not to bash on the Vibe kayaks, I still use a couple of them for the river and stuff like that, but in terms of main kayak rigging options, just very limited, and heavily recommended, you know, only if you're beginning and if you're starting to dabble in it. So that was my case. So let's get right into the native watercraft Slayer Max. So right away, I'm gonna move this camera. We're gonna start getting up close with things, and then talk about some of those things. All right, guys, real quick, one of the things that I really enjoyed when I got started in kayak fishing was, you know, watching some of these reviews, figuring out what I needed, but also just transparency about the price. Not everybody has the same budget for these types of things, or, you know, the same amount of desire. So real quick, I've got some of the information for the kayak pulled up right now, and I'm going to share a couple of those things that I feel like are going to be really important. Budget was a big thing. I had the sheer water and a smaller kayak before that for 3 years, actually 2.5 years. And the more I fished, the more I grew, the more this became necessary. So right off the bat, the native watercraft Slayer Propel Max 12.5, if you go online right now, you'll find it around $2,800 to $2,900, around that price range for this kayak. And that is just the basic setup without some of the things that I'll be talking about. And I will add that in the description below, but I'll also add some of the other options that got added on later through this process. So let's go in through the product details. So number one, obviously, Propel Max 12.5. It's 12.5 feet long, so it is a long boat and it's got a lot of space. So it's got bow and stern mounting for motors, dual horizontal rod storage in here, roto molded bow hatch cover with battery storage, Propel pedal drive, 701 series pedals, which we're going to talk about. It's got an electronics panel. That's a big deal. We'll get into that as well. Dual side tackle storage, hand sewn high-low seating, split paddle storage, groove track for accessory and sidekick mounting, high performance rudder, and then three molded in rod holders, then one molded in cup holder, BMX style grips, power pull ready, and manufacturer's 2-year warranty and 5-year limited warranty. So those are just some of the, that's a plane, 1 second. All right, so plane's gone. So now, as I said, 12.5. As I look here now at the native watercraft, it says 12.6 actually. The width is 34 inches, 86 centimeters, and then the weight is 95 pounds. So guys, one thing to consider about this kayak that you're purchasing, it is pretty heavy. I'm in pretty good shape, and I'm constantly, working out or moving and lifting heavy things, and this thing is pretty heavy. It's a bit of a workout to get in and out. So let's get started right off the bat on the front end of the kayak. All right, guys, so let's get into the front of the kayak, the bow of the kayak, real quick, and just review this area here. So number one, I am running an XI3 motor right here off of the front. As you can see, this mount here is from One Objective. It's incredibly sturdy. It's really easy to install. The way it's been prepared and designed, it's very mount friendly in terms of the way that Native Watercraft designed this. I didn't have any issues with it. It's solid, it's sturdy, no problems. I didn't screw a single hole into the boat, so I'm really happy about that. Now, the XI3, as you know, goes right here, and I'm ready to go, and I'll add a video there on the side for you guys to see that motor in use. And then number two, this is a neat option. I'm really not using it right now, but if you kayak, 1 second. But another neat feature, that they have added here real quick is these two rod holders, kind of like rod sleeves, made out of sturdy material, and it's screwed in to protect your rods. If you're like me, when you when you kayak fish, a lot of times you need to put down your rod quickly, or you're moving spots and you don't want to turn around and put it in your crate or in your black pack. So what do? You lay the rod on the side. Now, I really don't use this that much because there's another feature I'm going to show you guys, but I do believe this is pretty, I do believe this is a pretty nice feature to have. If you guys have ever had a rod in the front of the kayak and you're close to the bank, at times you may run into trees or into the ground, and your rod could get damaged, and that has happened to me. I have ran my rods accidentally into the bank or into a tree, and I wasn't paying attention, and so almost snapped one of my rods. But yeah, this is a good feature. This hatch here, press down, and that's locked in, right? Now, if you just pull back, simply pull back, and a lot of times I don't even close these when I'm on the water. You pull it here and you open up into the hatch, and you've got this tray that comes in and out. Now down here, I have the connections to the motor. And as I talk, guys, about the connections and the wiring, I want you guys to know one big thing is a huge shout out to Westbrook Supply in Atlanta. They rigged all this up. Big shout out to Mike. Please take the time, go check them out, Westbrook in Atlanta. If you're in the area, you need a kayak, you need rigging options, whatever you need, they've got it, they can do it. They are amazing. So huge shout out to them. I'm gonna put their information, their website information in the description below. So make sure you do that. So as I was saying, you've got this here that comes out, really easy to put back in. And then here you can see I've got my battery that is running my transducer or my fish finder, and it's also running my lights. Now the cool thing about this part of the hatch is that if you see this foam, it's to reduce the amount of vibration in here. And another feature, I'm gonna bring the camera here very quickly. If you look in there, you'll actually see here's the option, the lid, the top, to remove and put your transducer down below. So again, you don't have to screw any holes, you don't have to damage anything, you don't have to do a single thing, and you're ready to go. So that is the front hatch, and then I'm gonna close this back up. So one thing about how I have this set up, and maybe you care, maybe you don't, but I'm just gonna run it by you guys real quick. So I do have the Yak Attack landing net, real easy. I just put a screw in here. Shout out to Mike for the idea. And that goes right here. It's in place. As you can see, it's extremely functional, really easy to reach. It's not going anywhere. It's not moving. So if I'm about to land a big one, it's easy. Right there in the middle, boom, left to right. So I really appreciate that feature. It comes in handy. And so here we have the 7-1 pedal drive. And there is a cup holder in the center and a little bit of space for maybe baits or other things. But real simple. You bring this prop up here. If you're gonna make a move, you're gonna line the propeller up on the bottom and you're gonna pull it by this handle and it's gonna lift right up, okay? And then you put this prop back down and you can just bring this simply down and then boom, we're ready to make a long run on the motor. And once we get to our desired location, then we put it back down and you're good to go. Put this prop back in. You've got some bungee cords here. Now, some people may think that's a little inconvenient, but the reality is, if you're gonna make a long run, it's not that bad. You know, if you're on the kayak and you gotta make a long run to the other side of the lake or the creek or wherever you're at, you know you gotta reset your stuff and make that move. So I don't mind it at all. Now, if I'm making a short move, it's no big deal. I leave the pedal drive in, and as the motor goes, it simply rotates. Now, an awesome thing about this pedal drive, it does come out very easily, right? So I just simply pull these clips here, similar to the hatch, grab it by the handle, line the propeller up, grab it by the handle, and good to go. Now, one neat feature that I really appreciate about this kayak in terms of stability, it runs about 6 inches in. So when I stand on this part of the Yak is in the water. It's extremely stable. I'm extremely comfortable. I'm secure. And another thing, when I land fish, I don't mind that I put them on here and they have a hard time getting out of here. You know, if you're in tournament mode, tournament day, you're getting your phone out, you're getting your board ready, and those fish are flopping around, and a lot of times you try to keep it in the net, but you still risk losing that fish. So I don't know if they intended for that. I don't think so, but I do appreciate that this runs deeper than most kayaks. Here we have these kind of wiring and rigging mounting plates. So when you drill here, you're not drilling into the kayak. You're drilling into these panels that were made for that. You can easily replace these panels at any time. So for example, here I've got the wire for my active target transducer. And I've also got the power switch for my lights. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but my lights are running now. So here's the power switch. And then You know, it's all connected to the same battery. Shout out to the guys at Westbrook again for doing a great job. And no issue there at all. So if I ever decide to change the rigging option or the way I've got this set up, I just need to reorder the panels. There's no damage done to the Kayak, and that is awesome. Now, the tracker system, extremely sturdy, extremely solid material, no issues. I've got a cup holder on it. I've got the fish finder on it. I've got my board on here, and I do have the catch board. And so real convenient. Everything about this is extremely convenient, especially on tournament day. This makes a huge difference. Now on the side, they've got 2 slots here for your tackle boxes, but the really cool part is that you've got tackle boxes slots here, right here. So your boxes fit there and here. And they can also go, of course, in the slot. Now that's one of my favorite things. To me, that is everything. When I'm out on the water and I'm trying to figure these fish out, and I've only got maybe anywhere from 4 to 6 rods, or maybe even less, I'm changing baits a lot. I'm changing setups a lot. So I need to have quick access. Another thing is, obviously, you open this up here, and you've got your junk tray or your tackle tray, and you can put more tackle in here. I keep my pliers in here, extra line, some soft plastics, maybe some shaky head hooks to just access really quickly. So that's extremely convenient. Now guys, moving on to the seat. The seat is extremely comfortable. I know I keep going back to the Vibe Shearwater comparison, and it looks like I'm bashing them. I'm really not. I'm just being honest about why I made this investment and why I decided to take this leap. It wasn't easy. So it was a big deal for me. But the seat is extremely comfortable. It's really easy to adjust. You screw here. It's on the tracker system. You loosen it, you unscrew, and now you can slide it up and down really easily. So the seat is very comfortable, durable, and then very beneficial. So let me move the camera now, and we're gonna get to the other part, the back of the Kayak, and some other rigging options. All right guys, so I think this is my favorite feature on the Kayak. It's gonna seem a little silly and really simple, but I really appreciate this intentionality. So here on the side, there are 2 slots where my phone fits into, and if not my phone, my pliers, or maybe a pack of soft plastics or a pack of hooks, and it's really easy to get stuff in and out. And then you've got a cup holder here. You've got 2 handles here, but my favorite feature, guys, so cool to me. Everyone knows that when you're on a Kayak and you land the fish, or you've broken off and you've got to rig again. I don't know about you guys, but it can be really difficult on a Kayak to rig up your spinning combos or your bait casters, or to land the fish and then, okay, what do I do with my rod? A lot of times what would happen to me is my rod would be in the way. I'd land the fish, I'd have the fish in my hand, I'd have the rod in this hand, and I just needed to immediately just put my rod down. What I'd have to do is lay it down, and then at times the rod would start falling out, or I start struggling with the fish. So this is extremely convenient. If I break off, I place it here, and now I'm tying it right in front of my face. It's very easy. I don't have to have the rod at an awkward angle behind me, in front of me. It's right beside me, it's standing up, it's easy to access. Or if I land the fish, again, I place it here, the hook is still in the fish's mouth, it's not a problem, and I can remove those hooks super easily. So this is actually, probably like one of my top 5 favorite features. It's just made everything so much easier. And hopefully you guys will see that in videos coming up. Now, one thing that I almost forgot to mention was the deployment of my active target transducer. So the way this is being deployed, I have here, and I'll show you guys real quick. I'll set it up as if I'm on the water. Here I have the GoPro camera mount, and this is the one that I use for the GoPro. So there it goes there. And I actually have a second one. This is a second GoPro camera mount, but reconfigured for my active target transducer. So let me just get down here real quick, show you guys. Okay, so again, it's been reconfigured for the active targeting. So I'm just gonna press here, right? Rotate, bring it out here, and now, that doesn't look too great, does it? I'm in the water. I'm now prepared for active target. Again, big shout out to Mike and the boys at Westbrook. If you see here, this is lined up to let me know which direction I'm pointing in. It's very easy to rotate. It's very easy for me to reach over and just simply rotate it in the area that I want. And if I want to switch to down mode, down imaging with active target, I can pick it up, rotate the transducer, and I'm good to go. All right guys, so now we've made it to the back of the boat. And I want to talk about one very important add-on for me, and that was the Sidekick System. As soon as they mentioned it, I knew I had to have it. Now this runs at about $200. It's a little pricey, but this has changed the game for me. In terms of loading, it has made it so much easier to get this thing into the truck and out of the truck without me having to go purchase a $500 trailer. So simply pull these clips out here, and I'm just gonna pull this out, very easy. I'm gonna place it back in, clip back in, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take that kayak and just pull it on out into the boat ramp, out of the boat ramp. It's extremely sturdy. It's really reliable. Once I'm in the water with the boat ramp, I simply undo the pin, pull it out, and it is a little tricky in the water, I'm not gonna lie, but once you get used to it, it's very easy. You do it right at the boat ramp. You're good to go. And some people may wonder, well, what if this falls in the water? These float straight to the top. These are gonna float. They're not going anywhere. So this system right here is absolutely amazing. I heavily recommend it. If you have the budget, please get some type of Sidekick system. When I was carrying my other kayaks in and out, I think it was taking like 35 minutes to get everything in and out, and then, you know, back the car in and you know, put it down in the boat ramp and load everything on the kayak. Now what I do is I park, put everything in the kayak, and then I just wheel the kayak back over. I have used other wheeling systems. For example, I have used the seat tug cart. I have used the Malone wheels. There's a couple of other options. Guys, nothing beats this type of system right here. These extremely sturdy, they're awesome, but they will fall and slip out of the kayak every once in a while. So these just weren't getting it done for me. Again, I know I've said it a couple of times, but I definitely recommend getting the Sidekick system. It's made such a huge difference for me. It has cut down my setup and removal time probably by like 20-25 minutes, and that's really important. Now another thing is you've got plenty of space back here, okay? Now in the sheer water, I did not have space for my battery and my black pack and, let's say, water and a lunch bag. I didn't have that. So now that I have this, I've got plenty of space. And so what I can do is I can show you guys my battery here, and I can place it here in the back. No problem. Strap it in, you're good to go. Or I can move it up here. Let's no issue whatsoever, super easy, really simple to set up. And now the way I have this battery, let's see here. Let me move this out of the way. And you'll see here, I have the motor guide connection that you can purchase off their website. And it goes in here. And you switch on here with the connector switch, and you're ready to go. The wiring is inside to the front of the boat, under the hatch, and it is connected with the Anderson plug-in. So very convenient. When I'm done on the water, simply disconnect. So it's really easy to remove after a long day. Absolutely no issues, no problems. Another couple of things before we log off for this video is they've got the paddle holders here in the back that go into these slots. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, with the pedal drive and the motor, I am rarely ever using the pedals, only to kind of, you know, take off from the boat ramp sometimes. They're just here in case of an emergency. So they're out of the way. I like this. A couple of people don't because they think it's a little too awkward in terms of, you know, the placement. You have to turn around and you've got your crate in the way or your black pack, your battery, and you've got to take it out and then turn around and put it back into the front. But if you're actively using these paddles and the pedal drive for whatever reason, you're in skinny water, you can simply have them up front and bungee them in. There's a variety of options in the front and plenty of room. So I don't mind this. It's not a big deal for me, but for a couple of people it is. And then finally, guys, the rudder is the last thing that I want to talk about, the turning system. All right, so here's the turning system. So real simple. And I have it here on the left-hand side. That's just where I prefer it. Real easy to turn. Now they do have other options. You can, there's a variety of modifications you can do for this. For me, I'm happy with this. So this is super easy to use, super simple. And then I'll move you guys over here so you can see the rudder in action. All right, guys, so as you can see, here's the rudder. It does run flush with this bottom part here and with this bottom prop. But anyways, it does not come down. I want to be very clear about that. This rudder does not come down. And a couple of people, I believe I saw maybe 1 or 2 reviews where people expressed concern about this. I honestly have no issue with this rudder. For me, the turning ability, forward and reverse, it's plenty for me. Now before, again, going back to the vibe, I'm comparing experiences and why I'm here now. Before, I struggled a lot with the shearwater in terms of turning. The system just wasn't very functional and it was very difficult for me to make nice, clean turns, which is important on windy days or if there's a lot of chop on the water. But this rudder for me has been really good. All right, guys, so there you have it. I know it's a little long-winded, but I wanted to cover as much as I could to help some of you guys out if you're getting a new kayak or you're thinking about purchasing this one. Keep in mind they do have the 10-footer as well that's much lighter and more compact, and they have a variety of options with that. But this has been my honest review on the Native Watercraft Slayer Propel Max 12.5. I really appreciate you guys and I look forward to having more videos like this one. So guys, go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you like what you see, and go ahead and follow on Instagram for more daily activity. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Tight lines.